Alright, now that we are done with the COV and checking of attendance, we will proceed to... Yes, that's correct. We will proceed to motivational activity. And this activity is called loyalty line. So listen, okay? Here's the mechanics. You need to choose two representatives on which they will answer or they will assess a specific situation. And the situation is, imagine that you are working from a contractor and that company that you work for is well known. And one day, one politician visit you offering 5 million pesos in exchange of falsifying the budget, and meaning you will increase the budget for that project or program. And at the same time, you are also suffering from financial problem and you need big money for the operation of your child. And the question is, for those volunteers, you need to assess or analyze if or whether you will choose self-preservation or your loyalty to the company or contractor, or you need to save the life. Meaning, you will accept the 5 million pesos. So I'll give you 5 minutes to think, and later we will process it, okay? Okay, and to further understand those words or deep words that you can encounter on the story, we will have the vocabulary check. So as you can see on the screen, there is a four sentences. And what you need to do is read those 4 sentences and observe those bold words, and based from the sentences, what can you infer or what meaning can you extract from that sentences? Is that okay? Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes. Okay, thank you so much for your participation. And I observe that your answers or responses is quite different from each other. So later, we will check or we will see if your opinion or your point of view matches on the scenario on our story that we will discuss. Yes, time's up. So Ricklet, can you please share your answer? All right, that's correct, Ricklet. And I observe that you really observe or that you really use the sentence to extract meaning. And you said that conch shell means what? A conch shell means thing that you can found on the sea that can create sound. That's the meaning of conch shell based on the sentence. And the next one, yes, Miko? All right, litluns. The word is litluns. Litluns means what? From the term itself, meaning little, okay? That's the meaning of litluns. The next one is the Lord of the Flies. What is the meaning of the Lord of the Flies? Yes, Teen? All right, that's correct. Lord of the Flies means the female pigs or the head of the female pig. That's the meaning of Lord of the Fly. And later, you will see what is the connection of Lord of the Fly on our story. And the last one is, what is the last one? Yes, Nika. The last one is right. Soul. What is the meaning of soul? Soul means female pig, in which you can found on the sentence. I hope we were clear of those, that we are clear with those vocabulary words that we can find in the story. Of course, the story will not be complete if we will not discuss the background of the story. So let us discuss it. Please look at your screen. Okay, let's make it short, okay, so that you will further understand it. William M. Golding, the author of the story, satirizes the work of R.M. Blayton, which entitled, what is the title of the story? Correct. The Tale of Pacific Ocean. So on the Tale of Pacific Ocean, in which in this story, the story revolves around those people who is on the island, and the author believed that they can survive on that island with goodness on their heart. But William M. Golding contradicted or satirized it by saying that they cannot survive on that island with that goodness on their heart, but they need to interact with others. That's the background of the story. Now, let us proceed to the author. I believe I say it earlier, right? So the author is correct. The author of the story The Lord of the Flies is William M. Golding. So who is William M. Golding? Of course, William M. Golding is a writer. But behind of its passion to be a writer, his parents wants him to be a scientist. So in the first 2 years, he followed the one. So he became a scientist and he worked as a teacher. But his parents wants him to be a scientist. So he followed his parents on the first 2 years. He became a scientist and a teacher on a well-known university. But his heart still desired for being a writer. So on his own, he decided to be a writer. So he became a writer and published what is the story that we will discuss today? Correct. The Lord of the Flies. So that's the author's background.
Ice is about Savage. A group of schoolboys ends up on a desert island without adults after their plane crashes. They try to govern themselves and to maintain order and civility, but they ultimately fail, descending into violence and brutality. Now, at the beginning of the book, Ralph and Piggy meet on a desert island in the Pacific. They were on a plane with group of boys who are being evacuated from England because of a war. But the plane was attacked and crashed on the island. While they were in the air, they heard that an atomic bomb exploded in England. So we know that a nuclear war is taking place. Now after that, they find a conch shell and Ralph blows into it like a trumpet. The sound calls all the other boys who were in the plane out of the jungle. No adults have survived the crash, just the boys between the ages of 6 and 12. And Ralph is the oldest and the biggest boy on the island, and he is 12. Then eventually, a whole choir comes out of the jungle led by a named Jack. The boys decide to vote for a chief, and they all pick Ralph. He's beautiful and seems like a natural leader, especially since he called them with a conch. Jack is not happy about being voted down, though in fact he's humiliated. Ralph likes him and wants to be friends, so he says Jack's in charge of the choir and the choir will be the hunters. Ralph takes Simon and Jack up to the top of the mountain, and they found out that they were on the island. They also find out that there are pigs on the island that
Now that teacher Lezil is done discussing the summary of the story Lord of the Flies, we will analyze what is the conflict presented and what is the theme that evolved around this story. So let us first discuss what is the conflict presented by the story. So what is the first one? Correct. Man versus man. So how can you say so that man versus man is presented in the story? Correct. On the Jack's tribe or Jack versus Ralph, wherein Jack is quite jealous with Ralph, since Ralph is elected as the head of their organization. So since there is a small conflict about them, that is the evidence that man versus man is really presented on the story. So let's proceed to man versus self. So as you can see, or as you observe on the presentation of teacher Lezil, man versus self is very evident in the story since jealousy consumes Jacques. That's why he established a new tribe that will go against Ralph's tribe. So that is man versus self. Correct. The man versus nature. So as you can see, they are trapped on the island, right? So on that island, they struggle to have a water, the food, and of course the shelter. So that's the man versus nature on the story. Since you already share your understandings about the themes like civilization and savagery, the loss of innocence, and war and the future mankind, I will discuss the two remaining themes, which is the power and leadership. So it is very evident on the story that power and leadership is really presented. So why? Because it is since there are two rival tribes in which it is the Jack tribes and the Ralph's tribe. So let us discuss first the leadership. So the Ralph's leadership is democratic, or he heard, or he considers the suggestion of others. While Jack leadership is quite brutal, and he only consider what he only wants. So that's the difference between their leadership. Let's proceed to the very last theme, in which it is the human nature. I know some can relate to it, and some can reflect on it. So it is innate to us that when someone goes beyond us or superior to us, we have this feeling, or we are consumed by jealousy. So that jealousy is presented in the story, right? When Ralph established a new tribe that will go against Ralph, since he is very jealous that Ralph is the new elected head of their organization. It says, if you really listen to me and teacher Lezil, you will answer the motive question. So what is the first question?
When the world stops watching or when the world kept on challenging us, which one would you choose, the desire to be good or the urge to simply be powerful and survive? So, to answer this question, ma'am, and relating it to our country, which is the Philippines, that full of uncertainties, I would rather choose to simply be powerful and survive. Why? Because being powerful here in our country sees you as a superior, but we need to also know our limitations when we have the power.
Thank you so much for that wonderful answer. So what I can extract from that response is that we can never really say at this moment if we either choose to survive or to be good, since all of us is have this situation differently, and all of us is suffering differently. So Jane is correct that Philippines is full of uncertainties. So I cannot blame you if what you really want is to survive. Can you please read the second question?
In a moment of a real danger, what is the motive that make us abandon a friend? I think, for my opinion, ma'am, the motive that make us abandon our friend is that to survive, and also more on self. This question, ma'am, I think is to survive, and also being a self-centered human being. So that's why we abandon our friend during danger, and yeah.
So thank you so much. So choosing ourselves sometimes is not that wrong, especially if it is a conflict between choosing ourselves or our friends, especially if it is very urgent that we need to survive. So please take note that choosing ourselves is not wrong sometimes.
Go.
So let's proceed to the last motive question. So what is the last? Please read.
Is the motive for the boys eventually betrayal, or their friends driven more by abandoning morality or by deep-seated fear? I think to answer this question, ma'am, Jack is afraid. In the story, Jack is afraid that both of them will not survive in that island. That's why he created a new tribe. He created a new tribe not because of to answer the question, ma'am, the question number 3, Jack is afraid not to survive in that island. So that's why he created a new tribe. So he created a new tribe not because he wants to be a superior, but because he wants to survive. So that is, I think, the reason why Jack created a tribe.
Okay, thank you so much for that wonderful answer. I can really observe or assess that you really listen to the story. But let us some may question why is that if Jack only wants to survive, why is that he uses violence? So let us first understand the very deep or the root of the story why he go to violence. So um your answer is correct. He only wants to survive. That's why he might think that if that democratic system cannot be efficient or cannot be a solution, why not use a violence so that some of the school boys or some of the boys who belong on that tribe will be scared and will follow him. So that's the added information on what your classmate said. Okay? Once again, I am teacher Jona together with my peer, which is teacher Lezil Millares. Thank you so much.